Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Justin the Food Entrepreneur Show. I'm Justin Bizzaro. I'm your host. That's BIZZARRO. For anyone who's out there that's trying to find this, you can find this show on Instagram and Facebook. You can find our blog on Gorilla Brave on Blogger, and you can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook if you want to find anything about me. Please like, follow, share the episodes, guys. The entrepreneurs come on here, they volunteer their time. We do it for free. We volunteer our time here, and any money that we make goes right back into the podcast. But it is generally, we use it as a way to educate the world and give back to the world. So please like, share, comment. That's how you pay for it. If you like the entrepreneurs, like, share, comment their pages, try their food. Go out of your way when you're on vacation in these particular cities to support the entrepreneurs. So that's how you pay your dues to the show for all the effort everyone does. It takes a lot to release 3 episodes per week, guys. And it takes a lot of entrepreneurs. And just so everyone knows, for every 3 episodes we record, I have one episode that either doesn't work or gets canceled or never gets recorded, or someone doesn't show up and we try to reschedule and we can't do it. So it takes a lot of time and effort. And then on a rejection note, just because I got this question a lot, it's like anything else in life, depending on your business, you're going to get rejected when you're starting off. It's going to be harder to get people to be your customers, to believe in what you're doing. It takes a while to get momentum. So it's the same for the show. It was a lot harder at first to get guests, for sure. And then now, not quite as hard, but different strategies, different tactics, different ways of understanding the right entrepreneurs that are meant to be on the show, who are meant to be the ones giving back, who have that type of gift, purpose, pursuit. That's different. So with that being said, I have Frederick Russell here with us, guys, from Tennessee, from this turkey here. How are you doing today, Frederick? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, we know that you're a busy family man, 4 daughters, 5th one on the way, as we discussed before, but we're here to talk about how you became an entrepreneur and what you're doing and how you're doing it amongst all the responsibilities as a father as well. I think that's a big part of entrepreneurism, how we tie it all together. But let's talk about your story, Frederick. Let's talk about little Frederick up to big Frederick and sort of deciding to start to make your own way in the world. It's all yours.
Well, little Frederick started off being the only brother, baby boy with 4 older sisters. So I'm just kind of got used to being the only boy around. My mom and dad got divorced in '94, and my mom and the sisters all moved to Tennessee. And I've been in Tennessee ever since then. So growing up, being the only boy, kind of just making my way, man. Just being interested, my interest being different than all the women in the house. And so I kind of been a loner. I kind of been my own kind of loner thinker. So I was always on the creative side. Growing up, to escape all the chaos and stuff, I like to go draw. So became more like, the artsy fartsy. I was drawing and painting. And then back visiting my dad in Wisconsin, we always stayed with him for the summers, and we always visit my granny, and she was always in the kitchen cooking and stuff. So I kind of got a passion for the art of cooking through my granny, because she was very detail with her cooking. So she had a garden, so she'll pluck things out the garden, clean it, prepare it. When she did the desserts, everything was made from scratch. It was just an art. I was just amazed by it, because my mom, she wasn't like that. We didn't have a garden. It was always quick, easy meals. And my granny was always detailed, lifty meals when she cooked. So the art side of me developed a passion and love for cooking. Growing up with my granny, Rosie Russell, God rest her soul. So growing up in Tennessee as the only brother and away from my dad who was in Wisconsin. And I mean, it was, it was hard just, finding my way as a man here in Tennessee without a guidance of a man. But we went to school and stuff outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee in Cleveland. That's where I graduated. And, then I tried school, the Art Institute when I first came out. And I actually went to Art Institute for so it's a while ago. Sorry about that, man. I went for architectural design.
No
But
worries, man.
yeah, I went for and then
What's good you didn't do that, because I'm pretty sure AI is going to make that job obsolete for the most part. So
yes,
yeah,
yes, yeah. I actually switched
God,
program
God switched
to
you for a reason,
I switched
man.
it. Yeah, for like a year in, I switched to the audio production, and I did that for another year, and I just didn't like that either. But thank God, man, AI was just a big money grab because I ended up getting my I get all my loans and stuff reversed for when they scammed a lot of students to be into that. But I stayed in I went to the Art Institute for Audio in Nashville, and that's where I met my wife. I was working at the Waffle House, and I met her, and we dated for a few years. Ended up getting married. Her father, Michael Boyle, who is in my logo for this turkey here. I cooked when I was over. She stayed with her father, and I came over and I did the cooking, and he was just so like inspired by my cooking. He's like, "Man, you are a great cook." And I didn't know. I would just learn how to cook detail. Like I grew up watching my granny cook. So he told me, "So you ever thought about doing like a restaurant or anything?" And I was like, "Ah, nah, man." Nah, man, you would be really good at that. And I'm like, that's expensive, Mike. I can, I got a little money saved up, man. I can invest in you. I was like, oh no, Mike, being married, you don't want your father-in-law, kind of like support you. You kind of want to stand on your own and be your own man. So I was like, oh no, Mike, I'm good on that. So what I did was I worked my way up in the restaurant. When I met my wife, I was serving at the Waffle House. And then I started dilly dabbling in cooking at different corner pubs, different establishment. I even was at J. Alexander's at Grillman. And I kind of worked my way up to the ranks in the kitchen. And about 2 years after our marriage, we ended up buying a home in Dixon County. And when we moved to Dixon County, I was interested in maybe being like in management, and Cookout had a program to where you can be a MIT, a management and training. And so I applied for that position, and it was kind of a setback, man, because they started you all the way from ground zero there. The pay was really cruddy. I was making way more, cooking in the kitchen than I started off as an MIT. And it's kind of embarrassing to me because I did accept the pay and I had to take a step back to take steps forward. But I ended up working for Cookout for the whole entire 2 years for the
Yeah, one
MIT
of those
pyramid.
humbling moments that we do in life, I guess. I almost stutter when I say it because it's such a painful thing to do sometimes. But I know what you mean about taking a step backwards to go forward, and sometimes it taking 2 years. I understand. And I hugely respect you for that, honestly. But so let's talk about Cookout, that experience. Would you learn there? What was the MIT? I mean, you grow a lot in something like that, I have to assume. And Cookout's a growing company.
Yeah, man, Cookout. Yeah, it's a growing company, but in all honesty, man, it was a nightmare. The whole 2 years was a complete nightmare. What they put their managers through is just ridiculous. I was working, I was on salary, so I was putting in. We had up to 52 hours on salary, but I was doing way past 52. I was probably doing upwards. It's just 65. I think the most was 72 in a week. So they have you there all day doing 12, 13, 14-hour shifts, depending on the crew you have and what you can get done in that amount of time. And it was really strenuous, man. I started there at the Dixon location, and then they They rotate managers all the time. When they have problems in different one, they just rotate managers. And then I end up going to the one in Nashville, Charlotte Pike, and then an hour and 15 minutes away in Madison location. And I was driving back and forth. And then I came across my first turn and burn is what they call it, is where you work an entire shift. Let's say like you come in at say you come in like 2 and then you have to close and the guy closes like 2 a.m. and then you're scheduled to open up at 6 a.m. And when the first time I seen that on my schedule, I was like, yeah, this gotta be a mistake, man. I'm closing and then I'm opening. And it's like, yeah, we call it a turn and burn. I was just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yo, that's 4 hours and I live an hour and a half away. Like, what am I supposed to do? And it was like, this is part of the job. So I ended up sleeping in the parking lot and I probably did that like twice in 2 years. So I just slept in my car and then for a couple hours and then went back in and started opening back up and did another 12, 13-hour shift. So it was a complete nightmare. I was always away from my wife. We were having our first kid, my daughter at the time. So she was always by herself through her pregnancies and stuff. And her mom had cancer and ended up dying. And they gave me some time off for that. And then a year later, after like my 2 years, after my 2 years, her father died, Michael Boyle. And it really, really broke me and my wife's heart because he was a really good man and he always supported me and stuff. And Mike's passing, he was doing the savings, man. And Mike left a nice amount, money behind for summer. So his passing after I've completed the program with 2 years, before we even knew about the money, I decided to leave Cookout once I got my manager training. And I actually got hired on the next position as a assistant GM. And then I was an assistant GM for Dickie's Barbecue, which was in Nashville, which was pretty good. The pay was not what I expected to be assistant GM. So I was just moving in faith, man. And I actually was looking for a position to be a GM. And Demon's Steak and Spaghetti hired me as a GM. It was my first time being a GM. And I was with them for a year until COVID happened. And when COVID happened and my wife received the first check or the first account information for her father's money he left during his passing, me and my wife were just blown away. We was like, wow, we can't believe Mike was saving this type of money. And we just couldn't believe it. And I kind of went past this part. While I was working as a GM at Demon's Steak and Spaghetti, I gained a lot of knowledge. I'm running a restaurant, just the whole working of a business and stuff. And I used to come home and I used to daydream about running a restaurant and running a restaurant of my own and what would I have. So in between coming home and stuff like that, I wrote up my business, This Turkey Here. Me and my wife at the time, we were given a ground turkey replacement ad for ground beef. We heard it was a lot more healthy and light on the stomach. So we made the switch and during that time, we loved it. We used ground turkey for spaghetti, meatloaf, burgers. We were just like, yo, ground turkey is pretty solid. So I was thinking to myself, what would I have? And then it just dawned on me, like, why don't you do something specializing in turkey? And I was just like, yeah, So this was all fantasy. Because at the time, I didn't know the type of money he left. I was just writing up a business, just dreaming.
So the pen's moving, and you don't know why. But you just know that you need to get it on paper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I ended up getting this on paper and thinking about it now, I think I actually wrote this up maybe within that same week of his passing. Come to think about it right now, because when I was writing this up, I knew there was no chance just getting this done. I just was dreaming. So I wrote up This Turkey Here, and something was telling me, man, take this seriously. So I wrote up the menus in details. I wrote up the layout and everything. I said I would want to do a food truck because I figured this could be a good start and it'd be a lot more easier. And then they had me managing and doing their food truck and catering side of Demus's. I actually went to the Wilson County Fair, and they had 2 food trucks, and I was in charge of that event. And that's when I kind of just like, got the idea of a food truck. Doing that, that was an 11-day event, and they put me in a hotel. I did 11 straight days in the hotel at this Wilson County Fair, and had 2 food trucks. I had a crew of 12. So I kind of just, it was fun. I actually kind of enjoyed that. I kind of enjoy that better than working in the restaurant. So I was like, yeah, it would be a food truck, man, because that was kind of interesting. So I wrote this turkey here up, this detailed. Her father passed. We got word of the funds he left behind. And then I was just like, wow, it was just like a click. And I was just like, I think it's time for me to start this business, this turkey here. And my wife was like, yeah, I think you can actually, with this type of funds. So one of the hardest things I had to do was put my 2 weeks notice in as a GM of Demus's Steak and Spaghetti. Because over the years, we just became family with this restaurant. This restaurant gave me a shot. I was a GM, you become like family, all the staff, all the people. I talked to the owner and my superior at the time and let them know that I have to be leaving you guys. It was like, why? What, is something wrong? Is it the pay or anything? And I was just like, no, man, I think it's time for me to, start my own business. So I left. Ironically, this is a crazy thing about it. It almost gave me chills thinking about it. This was 2020, February 2020, I had left. And 2020, everybody remember the year 2020. And we had no idea about this virus that came around the corner, coronavirus. But I ended up leaving right before discovering coronavirus. And it was introduced to the world. And that's what all the restaurants were closed down due to coronavirus and stuff. And Demus's actually started chopping different locations. So when they closed down, several locations did not come back up and they kind of downsized. So honestly, it was the perfect transition to do my own business because I possibly could have lost my position or anything. So 2020 of March is when I had my food truck built and was ready to hit the road. And then we discovered COVID. And then, but at the same time, COVID kind of ushered me in as a business just simply because apartments, complexes were requesting food trucks due to a lot of restaurants had their door closed. So when everybody had their door closed and wasn't serving people, I was pulling up at, cul-de-sacs and apartments and stuff and getting my brand out. So that's the story of how this turkey here came about.
Let's talk about let's talk about menu development a little bit, because you have a menu. It's pretty awesome. I like the names. You also have a product, I think, called Thanks Dipping Sauce that's sort of come out of all this. So there's all these things that have come out of this venture. I want to talk about all of that. But first I want to talk about, there's a difference between operating the business, doing what you're doing, the trucks and all that, and then building a truck, figuring out how to do all the prep, getting the licensing, getting your business license and forming the business, all of those things. Talk to me a little bit about that, Frederick. Let's talk about what it was like to then you're taking a leap. You have some financial ability to do so, but there's a lot there. Talk to me about that in-between stage. And was that leap not necessarily a leap because of all the years with the food trucks before?
Well, certainly it's definitely a lot of loopholes, a lot of certificates and different things to build a business. And I was blessed enough. You have finances that you definitely can go a lot further and it takes from that stress away from being incorporated and all that stuff. Well, when I started my business, I actually used a lawyer's help. So I had a lawyer to help me just create the entity. I am, I do have a patent on the name, and it also showed me, we talked about different ways to make it legal. So you had to jump over several hurdles. You got to be organized, be an organizer with the states. You have to deal with having all your permits, fire, health permits. Even at the time when I first created my business in Nashville, because even though I live in Dixon, I created in Nashville. I had water. You have to get different inspections that have to come inspect it. The fire have to come inspect it, make sure your hood vents are good to go, that you have 2 types of extinguishers, one for gas fire, one for grease fire. And then a lot of it also, I was doing a lot of YouTubing too, just to make sure that I had everything down pat as far as what the preparation was. And then I did have a lot of background in the food truck because I had to run the food truck side when I was at Emis's. So I knew exactly what taxes and stuff they were paying on it and that sort of thing. And I knew how I built a relationship with their HR there. So, or the payroll side of the Emis's. So I knew what I needed to submit it to have for employees. So I just kind of, it was a mixture of having a lawyer and watching YouTube videos and having pre-knowledge, but it's a lot of hurdles and hoops I did have to go through as far as getting legalized. I had to go down to the courthouse to do most of the paper by creating organization for the business and then being an entity and getting an EIN number. Then that's so you can file your taxes and stuff. So it's a lot. And then this is all, and once I do this, I still got to report yearly for all these things, from fire to health, for being a business organizer, from paying taxes and stuff. I mean, it's worth being legit, man. It's carefree as far as you're not worried about your business being shut down. I know a lot of people who skip this part, and you just can't skip this part. I know it requires so much because each of these entities requires money. There's no way around it. You need money for the health because you have to pay health. You need money for the fire department. You need money for your tax report. You're going to need money to file, you know what I mean? So I was in a good position to where I just knew the exact steps and had the capital, the backing to just complete it all.
Yeah, I love this. Someone said this to me yesterday, actually, in a business dealing where they were talking about cutting corners, but the end result was a phrase that I don't know that I've heard in a long time, or maybe I've heard in this context, but yeah, special games get special prizes. If you cut corners, guys, and you try to play those games, you get prizes. And the prizes that you get are the special ones, the same corners you're cutting. They come with costs. They come with special winnings, special trophies, and that are extremely unavoidable. And yes, do we see it in the short term? Can you be profitable or whatever? But any time along your legacy, people know, it is known, and it does come to haunt your business at some point or haunt you or whatever. And if it's related to the IRS, they eventually figure it out for sure. I don't know how, but they do. They're very good at it. That's their job. But they do. Not that it's happened to me, but I do know you want to avoid it because I've seen those who haven't done it, and it hurts their family, hurts their businesses, hurts their employees. So there's more than just the person benefiting from cutting corners. Cutting corners also cuts corners for everyone else. And so the price paid is not only for the individual cutting the corner. So I like that a lot, Frederick. I appreciate it. Let's talk about designing a menu. You're focusing on turkey. I would say it's atypical, so I like it. You found a niche. You found blue ocean. and it's a really great area. I agree with you. It's a great alternative to a lot of things. So let's talk about menu development, picking items, starting to develop this menu in the middle of COVID, which also gave you the ability to deliver food, bring food to neighborhoods, whatever it was that in your food truck that everyone else wasn't able to. So let's dive into the menu development, the naming, all of that.
Well, I knew for sure. What already stuck out when I was doing this menu was burgers. I make a great turkey burger at home. So I said, I knew we were going to have some turkey burgers on here, but I had to come out with different creation of turkey burgers. So I have 4 creation of turkey burgers. I have the guajolote, which is like a play on like a Spanish burger. It has mayo, chipotle mayo, house-made chipotle mayo on it, and pepper jack cheese, candy jalapenos, and avocado. I kind of just thought in that. I think the guajolote was the first one I kind of thought of. And because I actually kind of made like something like that at home. So I was just thinking about the name, what I'm going to call that burger. And I was looking up turkey, what turkey is in Spanish. And I came across an old ancient word for turkey. It says like almost Aztecian, old Spanish word for turkey, which was guajolote. And that's why I named the burger. But of course we kind of say the G here in America. So I call it guajolote. But so that's how I got the name on that first burger. I was just Googling different things and stuff. And when I seen that came up, the guajolote or guajolote, I said, that's a cool name. I'm going to call that burger that. Then I have another burger that features dressing and cranberry mayo, house-made or Thanksgiving sauce. Wish I would get to that. And then I knew it had like stuffing on it or dressing on it. So I was like, we can call that like a gobbler. And that was just like a play on just like a Thanksgiving type burger. And then the jive turkey, which is like I knew I wanted just a plain type burger it has candy bacon on it, but it just had the standard cheese, lettuce, tomato on it. And then it's just a plain burger. And I was just like, because I don't want to, some people just don't want some over the top burger. So I had to have like at least a plain type burger. And I call it a jive because, jive turkey, it's like a 70s slang for like, like a corny or lame person. So I was like, okay, this is going to be that burger, the jive burger, because it's just like a regular plain burger. And then I had my 4th burger feature wasabi mayo. And I actually got this from my pastor because I had those 3 burgers and I was telling them, somebody told me it was, God, I can't believe I forgot who told me this. It's been 6 years ago. But somebody told me about, I remember now. When I left Demos's, I came back to visit one time and one of the managers or the RM was there and he was asking me how is it going and stuff like that. And I told him, I was like, man, the business is about to start and stuff. And he was telling me what you have. And I told him I had these 3 burgers and he told me, he was like, dude, we love ground turkey burgers at the house, man. He said, man, you got to have a burger with wasabi mayo on it. Trust me, wasabi mayo goes hand in hand with like turkey burger. Like, you got to try it. I was like, man, it actually sounds good. So I ended up trying it. And I told my wife, I think I got my 4th burger. And we just so happened to be at church. They were asking, my pastor was asking about the burgers and the food and stuff. And I told him, I think the 4th burger is going to have wasabi mayo on it. He's like, wasabi mayo? I said, yeah, I think I want to put some fried onions on it. That way you can have like, like a little crunch to it as well. He's like, I got it, the name of it. I was like, you got the name of it already? He's like, yeah. He's like, Ninja Turkey. I was like, he's like, because the wasabi's like Asian and the crunch is like a pound and a kick. And I was like, oh my God. So it was like, look at you, anointed man of Christ there. That's brilliant. So I came up with that 4th name of it, Ninja Turkey. Now, as far as the Thanksgiving sauce, I knew I had wanted I knew I just didn't want the burgers there. I actually came up with our turkey salad wrap, which is oven roasted turkey mixed with mayo, Dijon mustard, Parmesan cheese, Italian herbs, and cranberries for a turkey salad wrap. I knew I needed something else. So I had my burgers, I had my wrap, and I just knew I needed something else, man. I just couldn't. I was really just struggling. Like, what else could I have there that's turkey? And it just clicked in my head. It's almost like God was talking to me. It's like turkey tenders. I was like, turkey tenders. I was like, that sound weird. It kind of
I
sound
know,
kind of, right? And then I remember, that's why I know it was some guy. He was like, he was like, what? Are you serious? So you think you're smarter than me type, like you think that's a bad one? Are you for real? You know who I am type?
Yeah, no, yeah. You think you can call it turkey and not use all the turkey?
Yeah,
You're out of your mind.
right. Or have this is you say I'm unable to have a good idea, and I was like, okay. Sorry, turkey tenders. Then I said fine. So I started researching turkey tenders, and I Googled it. Apparently, is a thing. People say love cutting up the breast of the turkey and making turkey tenders, deep frying it and stuff. So I was like, what? So I ended up buying some turkey tenders because they serve the turkey tenderloin, not like a log stuff, but an actual turkey tenderloin. They sell it at Publix. So I had got it. I cut it up, and I seen this recipe that says to marinate it in buttermilk, but I knew I wanted to marinate more than buttermilk because Chick-fil-A, that's how their poultry is turkey brine. And when I worked at J. Alexander, we had chicken there, and we brined the chicken there as well. And when I was at Demos's, they do a buttermilk brine for their chicken. So I said, you know what? What if I just did it all? What if I had like a pickle brine, buttermilk brine, all in the same, container with the turkey. So I ended up doing that, and I ended up doing it overnight, and I prepared that, and it was phenomenal. I was like, oh my God. And my wife tasting it and everything. And I was like, oh my God. I said, this is it. We're doing turkey tenders. And then I said to myself, like, I gotta have a signature sauce. And I was thinking, like, what can I do? And I'm like, well, I'm doing turkey. Like, growing up, turkey always went well like dressing, cranberry sauce. I love cranberry sauce in Thanksgiving. Like, that is my family. We always have like cranberry sauce for our Thanksgiving. So I gotta have something tied around there. So thought of this mayo-based sauce with cranberry preserves, threw a little Italian seasoning in it, some Parmesan cheese. And at this time, I had a kitchen at Citizens Kitchen in Nashville. When I'm doing all my experiment and cooking and stuff, I was doing it there at that location in Nashville. So I had a thing of turkey tender brining in it and stuff. And I asked all the people that work out the kitchen tomorrow if we do like a test tasting. And I was like, yeah. Because I was still kind of messing with the ingredients a little bit. I had like some turkey that was in buttermilk only, some that was in pickle brine only. I had like 6 different samples of it, just like that. I came with my sauce, and the funny thing about it is I am not a fan of mayo whatsoever. I just not a fan of mayo. So I needed somebody to try it. I didn't have the guts to try it because it's mayo based. And,
I need ketchup. I cannot go anywhere near ketchup, so I had to have everyone else do ketchup recipes or tell me if it was good because ketchup tastes so sweet, it's almost toxic to me for my palate for some reason. It's so sweet, it tastes like candy. But no, go ahead. I love this because I can understand the mayo thing because most people around me had the opposite problem where they didn't want to eat the mayo, so I got to eat all the mayo things.
Well, so you understand me. So like, I knew it was going to be like, like disgusting to me, man. But then I had an epiphany that says, because I don't like it doesn't mean millions won't like it. You know what I mean? So I have people like it. And this is the first, this one lady down there. Oh my gosh. This is the first tester of it. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's so good. And then she went back for another dip, and she's like, this is phenomenal. She's like, I can eat this with a spoon. I was just like, ew. But I was like, eureka, I got something. So I said, boom, I got it. I had the right amount. I actually had I think I had like 10 people do this test for me on there, and I had them write down. It was, I remember I had a detailed taste testing test happening because I wrote down for flavor, juiciness, saltiness, texture, crispiness. I wrote this down and because I was thorough about it, and I gave like the paper out to people, and I actually had them really take a test on this food. And 8 out of 10 picked the tenders the way I marinated. 8 out of 10 picked back this exact one. And I may have had different more than like 6 examples. I may have like 8. I had a whole bunch. Times like this, I wish I need to go back and remember these stories because this would be a great story and not have them be lost over the years or whatnot. But they all picked that. They all absolutely love the Thanksgiving sauce. Actually, fun fact, man, about 2 years back, at 3 years of my business, the customers are loving Thanksgiving. I mean, like it is blowing up. And I guess I kind of knew it was because when that lady said she eat it with a spoon, I actually went back to my lawyer. I was like, yo, we got to patent this Thanksgiving sauce. He was like, you can, but it's really not necessary. The patent the Thanksgiving sauce. He's like, are you bottling this sauce? And I'm like, no, I'm not bottling nothing like that. But I just did like a taste test and people are raving over it. I kind of want to just have a patent just in case. And he was like, I think you'd be good right now. So I said, okay, that's fine. And come to find out, man, Purdue chicken. So I've been doing this for 2 years and I decided I wanted to put my sauce in stores. So I actually was looking to get this bottled from somebody and stuff like that. And I actually created my own labels and everything for the sauce and get it bottled at the local store, which I had it on shelves there in the refrigerator. I actually had my sauce there for about 6 months. It was doing great. I had to refill it like 4 times in that 6 months. And I said, you know what? Behind, the back of my lawyer, I said, I'm going to get this patent myself. I figured out how to do my own patents. So I went to go put it in, and Purdue Chicken 6 months ago came out with a cranberry sauce. And you know what them jokers named it? Thanksgiving. So I don't know how, because I was doing this for 2 years and I went back to my lawyer. I was so upset. I said, oh my God. Like I decided to go get this patent anyway. And I go there and Purdue Chicken has a patent out for a Thanksgiving sauce. And I'll Google it. It was a limited time sauce they don't have it out now, just like a limited time sauce or whatever. And he was like, well, we have 2 options. You can continue making your sauce. I think you're okay because it showed you did put out on a media and your Facebook and your Instagram and all that you had a sauce and you call it Thanksgiving. And you've been doing this for 2 years and their patents from 6 months ago. It's that you can just not worry about it, or you can try to just pursue Purdue and I can get something filed for you. But of course, it's going to be like $5,000 to pursue and all that stuff. So I left it alone. I haven't heard back from him. He said that the ball's in your court. They'll have to come to you and tell you to cease and desist, and you have the proof. So I hope that never comes about. I hope that it drops or whatever, but that's how I came out with my 4 burgers.
Yeah, I want to comment on the IP, the intellectual property or the trademark there for a second. Just so everyone's aware, in the modern era of social media, particularly if it's an American-based company, where I'm saying this is you can argue TikTok, it's just harder to argue. But in the United States, anytime you use something, especially if we're using it publicly and it's viewed by a person that's never been viewed before, even if you don't have the IP established yet or you're waiting on the trademark, the use of it, social media allows us to show that we're the first to use it, if that's true. Capital T, truth. God's truth, I'll call it. So what social media and what advertising and online marketing and advertising do is it allows us to set precedent. And in that precedent means we're the first one that used it. I just want everyone to know that that's a very powerful stance, even for a big company now. You can argue it, you could try to drag someone down, but in the end, the truth is digital and it has a timestamp. So I just want that to emphasize that for everyone. You know, the small guy in these cases has a chance now. They just can't bury you in court.
Man, you know your stuff there, sir. That's the same thing the lawyer was telling me.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you like that. That's good to have. Gotta have that small, you know, that support for the small guy. That's very good.
100%. So let's go from here. What I mean, you've got all these items. You got the thanks dipping. You've done the taste tests. You've got the turkey tenders. Actually, my favorite one is definitely the ninja turkey, but naming so far. But I like it. So where does this go, Frederick? How do you get from all the menu development, all these things? How do you move forward?
Well, you introduce it to the world, man. You put that time in, you go, you have faith. I discovered early that image is important. I noticed a lot of food trucks will have a menu with no images. So my niece was a photographer. We actually, if you go to my page and my website, my Facebook or Instagram, and see all of the beautiful pictures of the food and stuff, those are actual images of our food. Like I said, my niece was a photographer, and I took some video photography class when I was in art school. And so we went home to my house in my den, and we created replicas of my food, which is just, you know, art replicas of it. It looks like it's cooked food and stuff, but it really wasn't. We made menus of it. So that helped in aiding. So, you know, it put a face with a name. So people just didn't have to guess. I wonder if the turkey tender is going to be good or the burgers and stuff. They're looking at it and it looks stellar. So they're like, man, that looks good. So, you know, people that say you eat with your eyes first. So I took the time to get pictures for all my menus, and I went to Amazon and got a huge retractable menu sign. So whenever I set up, I have that retractable menu sign outside of my truck. So you can see this from a pretty good distance. You can see this delicious food. I kind of just hit the road, man, and let the product speak for itself. You know, people were interested in the brand and interested in the idea of turkey. I'm very sought after from the alpha gal community. People don't know about alpha gal is people who's dealing with an allergic reaction to a tick bite, where they can't have any red meats. They can only eat like poultry. So a lot of people from the alpha gal community support me and stuff. Built like this gathering just off of, you know, word of mouth, people who try my food or whatnot. Because the best thing about having a niche is, you know, you don't have any competition when you do. You know what I mean? I kind of carved my own lane with turkey here in the Nashville area. It's not many people doing turkey burgers. I don't know anybody's doing turkey tenders. And so I kind of let the food speak for itself. And everybody's trying it. The food's delicious. I have a 5 out of 5 rating on the ratings / reviews on my Facebook out of over 300 customers. Most of them take pictures of it. So I just kind of let my ideas just speak for themselves. You know.
Let's talk about motivation, inspiration, mentorship, leadership, guidance along your journey, things that happen in your life that mattered in starting your business, people that helped you maybe along the way, or things got anchored through others that led to this turkey here.
Well,
because the success of it wasn't just an accident, and the time that you were what I would call equipped for your mission took time, took hardship, it took suffering. So I think it's all important. I want to anchor it for the audience because I think it's important for you as well.
Yes. Well, yeah, man. I definitely believe that things line up for a reason. And I know that Michael Bull, my father-in-law, he always supported me in my cooking. He always wanted to see me in a restaurant when he was here talking about it. So the fact that his passing, he left that money, I remembered him supporting me then and believing in me. And I definitely didn't want to let him down. I definitely didn't want to just what he left behind. I wanted to use it to build and further go stretch, further past because I'm doing something that I can leave a legacy for my family. And I wanted to make him proud and show him that, that he was one of my inspirations. So starting it, even though it was hard to gain traction and go different places and get people to try my food, I knew I had to stick in there, man, because this is money that Michael entrusted and left to us to do right. And I wanted to do right with it. On top of my wife and I having a daughter, we have continually having daughters almost every year afterwards. I just want to be that support system, man. I want to, I couldn't quit. Basically can't quit. That first year wasn't the best year. It's not. When you start a business, you're not going to just start making money overnight. You spend a lot of your money on material, on equipment, certificates, being right standing. So you basically start your business in the hole. And from there, you have to try to get that money back and stuff. So it take you being disciplined and take you not just being disciplined with your assets and your money, but disciplining your mind. 'Cause the mind can play tricks on you. That first year in business, if I can even be candid with the numbers, man, I think my first year of business, it was on like 14,000 for the year. That's like below minimum wage. So once again, you kind of take a step back. You spend all this money buying a trailer, a truck, food and pictures and certificates. And you look at the year and you only made like $15,000 for the year. You kind of, your mind can say, oh man, is this going to be successful? Is this going to, look at you. You can't survive off of $15,000 a year. And look at all this hard work you're doing and stuff. But I knew that I was destined for greatness. I knew that I was destined to do this. And from there, I told myself that we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep marketing. We're going to keep trusting that we have a good brand. And there's no turning back. And I definitely had a lot of support from my church homes, even my own customers. The people that I were serving, they believed in my business and stuff, and they kept telling me they were proud of me. It was crazy. That first year, I was hearing that a lot from complete strangers, how they're proud of me, what I'm doing and stuff. And I'm just like, they really don't know me, but thank you. And I mean, in a way that was encouraging me, let me know, keep hearing that you're proud to keep going, which I'm happy I did. I think the next year we was at $50,000 that next year. And looking back, I was like, man, we about tripled, a little bit more than triple what we did. And then from there it was up, man. We doubled the next year after that. And we darn near doubled the year after that from the one from next year. And I'm just glad I stuck with it, man, because it's a little tricky, man, to balance everything. You have some insecurities in between, man, when you're running a business. It's not going to be instant success. You got to know that as a new business, that you got to know there's no instant anything in it. You got to fight. You got to promote. You got to believe in yourself. It was long days and then long nights marketing and getting on the social media and putting the work in and grinding and posting. It was so many days I just did not feel like talking to the world because I just worked. I just had to load in, serve people, load out. And I was like, I just don't feel like going on social media and being that bright sunshine. Hello, everybody, that uppity person, because you're tired and stuff. But I had to push through, and I did it anyway. And I'm glad I did, man, because building on social media and being that voice kind of made room for many opportunities, not even kind of, but it made room for many opportunities, many calls to do different catering events. I've done a wedding in my time. I do different schools. I met a lot of good people, and it all works out in the end. My wife has been a good supporter of me, having 4 kids with me. She knew things were up and down at one point in time. She definitely stuck with me for the whole year. She was definitely a huge financial support that first year of business when I just didn't feel like I was bringing in enough money. I wasn't adequate enough as a provider and stuff. She definitely filled in the gap and kept me encouraged. My mom passed after a year of doing the business. Then my father passed. So we both end up not having parents. And and they both, my parents were encouraging me and proud of me and stuff. So I just couldn't stop. I knew I had to keep going up. I knew I had to keep climbing. And I just knew I was destined for greatness from all the support I hear and stuff in between. And I wasn't gonna let this momentarily sense of being down or not being where I want to be stop my long-term goals. Even now, man, we're doing great numbers. The business is a success, and we're constantly going up. This year, the numbers is the best as it ever been, but I know it's still more that I can take this to. And looking back through the 5 years, man, it was complete, just sometimes running on fumes. But I'm grateful for all the people who had told me they were proud of me, helped encourage me, and helped keep me going. And they've just as much built this turkey here as I did. So I'm just grateful for everything.
I appreciate it. Frederick, I'm going to ask you another question. But first, I'm going to make a statement or anchor all this for the audience. A couple of things for everyone. In Christianity under Jesus, 2 commandments, guys, from God. Love God, love your neighbors. Okay, and neighbors is a very broad term in the definition. We use neighbor in the translation, but in the ancient Greek, it means more. We're talking about our neighborhood, the habitat in which we live in, not only on a small scale, but on a greater scale. But when we use the word and we translate it, yes, it's true because the neighbor might be the hardest person to love because they might be exactly the opposite of us. There's that translation. But what it means is that everything, animals, plants, every creation, we are master over it, not from ownership, from mastering. No different than a chef masters a skill. No different than we're talking about Frederick mastering being a business person, being in the food business, restaurants, food trucks, and then doing it himself. First, the skill has to be gained. Why is this important? Because God exists in time. Okay, that's God's currency, is the time. Okay, why is that important for everyone to understand? Why is that important? Well, it's the most valuable resource, okay, that we have. And in that time and in that discipline and in that pursuit, in faith and in trust, comes the equipping that's necessary for us to go have greater purposes, for us to go be more. But it takes the patience, the suffering, the time in those gaps. I just want to emphasize that for everyone. I want to talk about this in particular, turkey. One, who would have thought? I don't think anyone, there's not any turkey specific businesses that I can totally find out there. So this is what I like about it for the audience. One, it's an industry. Okay. Everyone's like, oh, it kind of competes with chicken and it kind of competes with other things. Not really. It is a standalone niche. It is a standalone blue ocean. Okay. And I'm going to just not say niche because we eat so much turkey sandwiches. We eat so much turkey during Thanksgiving or even Christmas for those who don't eat ham or other things. Even Easter, turkey's eaten now. So with that being said, to everyone, one, we heard about how people can't eat red meat. Turkey is a good alternative. It's better than ground chicken. Okay. And in terms of size of the animal, you want the animal to be larger. To grind it, you get more yield. So turkey does better. This is what I like about it. An industry need is there. Okay. We understand what turkey does, but building a business around it that is scalable, that's concentrating on trademark and branding and building an industry within an industry, which we're talking about here. I think this is, one of the main reasons that attracted me to this business, to talking about it, to having it on the show, is because I do believe there are places in the world, not only in the United States, that want more turkey options, and not to mention turkey farming integrated in with chickens and regenerative farming, cows, sheep, goats is a pretty powerful thing to have in your rotation or have out there. So consuming more turkey, guys, is better for us. Okay. Consuming more sheep and goat would be better for us too, from diversification, and buffalo and elk and so on and so forth. But what I like about this in particular is we're highlighting a protein and we're utilizing a lot of it, if not all of it, because there's ground in there. We're talking about all the parts of the animal, potentially, the protein pieces, or should I say the muscle meat. And this is good. So let's talk about where the future is. You've written a business plan. You have a large family, maybe kids eventually getting involved in the business, but where do you hope this go? What's the aim? What's the strategic direction you're hoping to go, Frederick?
My direction, well, you got this, Steve. I just also relocated. If you hear the cicadas in the back, we're in Tennessee right now. It's summertime. But my aim and direction, originally, I started this and I kind of was thinking maybe selling the concept, and maybe we can get this, to be like, like the chicken fillet of turkey, or maybe like the Boston market of turkey, and having in different chains. I'm an entrepreneur by heart. So in between the time, I did create another business the same exact way, thought provoking, wrote down different menus and things like that. And I kind of feel like that next one is going to be the more restaurant style for me. So I want to use this turkey here as like a stepping stone. So I'm hoping to, this year I'm opening for investors. I just joined the WeFunder to get investments for this turkey here. I kind of want it to be, kind of wanted to build itself. Thinking I'm gonna get another food truck for it and have that in rotation to where I can spread out more and get, because right now we're still on my side of Tennessee / Nashville on the west. I kind of want to expand onto the other side and maybe get, catch some eyes of investors, or maybe a hospitality group, and say, hey man, let's get some buildings open up for this turkey here. And that way I can negotiate different things as far as the ownership in it. I don't have to necessarily keep full 100% ownership, not even keep the 60%. I mean, if we can get a game plan to where it is ran and managed, I'll be happy with this turkey here taking it to another level. And I don't have to include me taking it all the way to that level, because I do have goals and dreams to open up another restaurant. So hopefully that's kind of what I want to do, man. I kind of want to see this turkey here grow, and not necessarily with me.
I love it. Where can they find you online? Where can they find the concept online? Where can they find the site, the menu? Where can they find where you're serving or set up? All that good stuff.
Well, I have a website, www.thisturkeyhere.com. You can see my menu. You can see different pictures, my mission statement, my background stories up there. I do a lot of things on Facebook. Facebook is my number one social media platform. It's more interactive. From there, you can see also my menus. You can see where we've been, where we're going. I do have a whole bunch of things pinned up, different highlighted events pinned on my wall there. Also, I have a review. That's why I have my 350 reviews there, where you can go and see what the customers are talking about, what people like about the food and stuff like that. I also have an Instagram, which is more like a picture thing. You know how Instagram works. It just showing different glorified pictures of the food and different events we went to. I'm trying to build a TikTok as we speak, trying to get to 1,000 views on, I mean, not 1,000 subscribers, so I can start going live. I would love people to see this live action. Like right now, we got a Loretta Lynn event coming up. I'm gonna be at the Loretta Lynn Ranch, doing the amateur motocross championship race. It's gonna be 10 days of this, and that'd be a perfect opportunity to go live and show people the grueling work and everything that goes into an event like at that scale. But those are all the places you can find us.
Amazing. Anything that I didn't talk about, Frederick, that you wanted to share, or anything you want to share with the audience, or anything you feel maybe God calling you to say before we go?
Yeah, man. Just keep believing in yourself, man. In between the story and stuff like that, well, being one of my father's son, man, in my teenage years, I came to be a troubled youth. I didn't get on the straight and narrow path, man. I had to take some step backs and stuff. It felt kind of hopeless at one point in time, especially like in my late teens, 19, becoming a man and just trying to figure out. I felt like I didn't find my place in life. For those who dealing with that, man, feeling like things are rough, man, I encourage you, man, to take a step back and reflect on who you are and what you're good at. I knew I was good at artsy things and drawing and stuff, and realize your worth, man. I knew it was worth being somebody. It was worth not just being down and out and getting caught in the nightlife and all that type of thing. I knew I wanted to be a husband. I can be a good father and work on top of that. One of the things that really got me out of just that run was just working. I was working a couple of jobs. I did say I would work at Waffle House and food, but I also was working at a call center. Just when you feel lost, man, just work your way out of situations. And I mean that like in a physical sense, man. Sometimes you got to surround yourself with work so you won't have to think about the negative things. And when you also doing that, it helps you get some traction going, get some stability, and that always makes you feel good when you're able to take care of yourself and have your own car, your own place and stuff. And then from there, start getting out your dreams, man. If you want to dream to be a husband and a father and stuff, man, start talking to the right ladies, man. If you have dreams and aspirations of sports or arts or whatever the case may be, surround yourself with the right people while you bettering yourself. It's a two-part thing, man. You have to work hard and you got to surround yourself with the right type of people that you want in your life that's going to help you grow. And stay encouraged, man. Get into a church home, talk to somebody, man. Usually when you go to church and this stuff, those are people more easy you can talk to about your problems and things you go with, man. And don't give up, man. Cause at 19, man, I dreamed about being a business owner and a husband and a father, man, but I really didn't see it. But I'm glad that I turned these dreams into reality.
Yeah, I love this, and I couldn't agree more. And I think part of hardship is exactly that. You have to work your way out of it. Sometimes you have to humble yourself and start all over again. It's not pretty, or do jobs you don't want to do, but just to stay busy. That's part of it. Rock bottom or versions of rock bottom for individuals, both in business and as individuals, addictions, things like that. We go through deaths in the family. Those things can rattle our cage pretty bad and working. So, I always say this to individuals. It's okay to take a step back. It's okay to slow down your business as an entrepreneur a little bit during these times. Just do not stop, because you don't want to lose the momentum. And more importantly, during this time, what we have to realize is there's a key here if we truly want to believe and understand it, where in these darker moments, the dark nights of the soul, the dark valleys that we go in and out of, the thing that happens is an opening, a ability to be molded. And in those moments is where God is the loudest and working the most in us. Truly. Why? Because worshiping God is putting in the work into the life that he gave us. And what does that mean? That means that if we have to be always bettering the situation, period. No matter what, it's how we react, not what's dealt to us. We can't control that. Absolutely not. Not where we're born, not what country we're born in, not with whom we're born into, or the hardships that we have. Okay. There are certain things. Can we perpetuate it? Yeah. By our decisions. Can we make it worse by not trying to do better? Yes. Can we go down the wrong paths? Yes. Can we find addictions, bad influences, quick money, cut corners? Absolutely. But the more important thing is when we decide to actually do the work, both in work, in business, but in ourselves and in the journey or whatever the suffering's trying to teach us as a lesson, great things happen. We're witnessing this right now. And Frederick, and the story of his is more than just the story of this turkey here and a business. What we're talking about is someone who's being given someone and is already understanding that it's just a platform for his greater purpose. And it's okay now that it's been created for the universe, the neighbors, to also love it and have control over it as a community item and let it be and serve the community also. That's important in business, guys. When we understand that we are part of it, we create jobs, we pay taxes, we buy food, we affect farmers, in this case, a lot of turkey. As we scale the business, that gets greater. Those influences, those impacts. That's very, very important. And it's great because turkey, we can see it. It's maybe an underutilized item. The reason we make lunch meat is it's easy to turn a lot of the turkey into lunch meat in a general case. For everyone, hot dogs, turkey burgers, ground turkey. That way they can keep growing turkey year round, even though there's a mass exodus of turkeys in this world around Thanksgiving. And that's good for business, guys. It's good for farming. It's good for industry to have that consistency. So, Frederick, I appreciate you very much. I'm going to ask you one more time to let everyone know where they can find you on social media and find you online.
Yeah. That website is www.thisturkeyhere.com. If you want to reach me out, there should be a section there to reach me out via email. If you're on social media, just look up This Turkey Here. And that's on Facebook. And This Turkey Here is on Instagram. And you can also look up This Turkey Here now on TikTok.
Yeah. And Frederick, anytime you want to come on and do a part 2, or you want to come on and talk about your new concept, it's yours. You know the scheduler well, since you and I danced around that one for a little bit. And I appreciate your patience. I am glad we got to tell your story. I'm glad I get to witness it. The test that has led to your testimony, for sure. Thank you.
I really appreciate that, Mr. Bizarro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for the opportunity to share my story and the opportunity to encourage somebody and just the platform to do it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. Totally respect what you're doing. For the audience, I love you guys. Share, like, comment on the episode, the podcast, follow. That's how we support the entrepreneurs that are on here. That's how we support what we're doing on the podcast, which is the give back, how to give back to others on a world basis, guys. This influences people in the world. I get feedback all the time on entrepreneurs that are being influenced by what we do here. The entrepreneurs that are building businesses in the United States, and the ideas and the creativities and the hurdles that lead them to explore. Now, is it may be more difficult for them in their countries? Possibly, than the United States to start individual business, but that doesn't mean that they're willing to stop because they see others who haven't stopped either. Maybe their obstacles are different than ours, but a toothache is a toothache, is a toothache. No matter who it is, we don't understand the level of pain someone's going through or suffering. We just know that they're going through it because they're deciding to be a business person, and it's going to be there as an entrepreneur. And if it's not there, I don't know, something's wrong, or it's going to come later. So eventually it comes. Steve Jobs even lost his own company. So it happens to us all. We have to have that sort of redemption in life. So love you guys. Love the show. Love this one. Love the redemption. Love God working his miracles. Love God planting seeds of miracles before we actually see the miracle. We think in the story for everyone, and this will be my last thing, that the miracle is when the money showed up to Frederick and his wife and his family. That's not when the miracle happened. The miracle happened when his father-in-law got the thing from the Holy Spirit inside of him that said, save this money. That's the miracle for everyone. And that's where God works. Right there, before we ever saw it, before it ever happened, before it ever was conceptualized, before there was even an ounce or a nickel or a penny or a dollar of anything saved. The miracle happened when it changed inside the human, and he took actions for his legacy. Okay? Frederick's father-in-law is living, his legacy is living on, not only through him, but through the money he put in to the family, into those businesses, so they could live on and create their own legacy, a greater legacy than his, and compound the family legacy. It's important for everyone, and important for entrepreneurs to understand that the trophy is not now. It never will be. We will get trophies and we will get accomplishments, and we should be profitable. But the ultimate trophies we need to be aiming for is the ones that lead to our legacies in our communities, in our families, in our businesses, on our planet, to the animals, plants, etc. So, thank you, Frederick. I love you guys. We're out.
Thank you.